What's up, y'all? This is Conversation with Coomer, episode 13. We are filming here at our apartment in Medellin, Colombia, and I am joined by the incredible, I've never done that before actually, I am joined by good friend and Compass member, Davis Carbó. Davis, welcome, thanks for doing this. Like I said, we're actually about to play some pool, so this is a new format. But before you break, if you'd want to give a introduction about yourself, where you're from, what you do, and more or less how you got here today.
Yeah, my name is Davis Carbó. I am from Atlanta, Georgia originally. I've been living down in Medellin since January 15th or so. And I own a training development agency called Educate. And so I run a business from here in Medellin, and I'm happy to be here.
Sweet. So yeah, if you want to break, and then we'll just keep it going like this. This is fine.
Absolutely. All right. If I do bad, we can delete it out, right?
Just have a re-rack. Nice, 2 solids. But yeah, so in terms of getting to where you are now, what brought you to training development, or even what started you out in the online world, or the non 9-to-5 world? What was that path like?
Yeah. So I originally started when I left school. Or when I finished school.
So you did college?
I did college. I got a degree in human learning and development from Georgia State. And what I did is when I was around 21, I got into door-to-door sales. And I did selling where I did summer sales basically every summer for 4 to 5 months a year for 6.5 years. And during that time, I worked with my brother. I'm a twin. And during that time, I focused on recruiting, growing teams, and basically I was responsible for training. And it was interesting because the company that we landed on at the beginning of our door-to-door journey didn't really they had training in place, but it was all on the managers. You had to teach everything yourself, and it was pretty archaic, like almost through stories or like just one-on-one coaching and training. And so my brother and I, we were just ultimately thinking about how can we do this a little bit different. And I got into learning a lot about educational theory, and of course I went to school for it a little bit. Trying to hop it. I went to school for it a little bit, but yeah, that's really where I got to cut my teeth into the training game. And after, I would say, our first summer, we put together kind of like our own theory of how we train, and we put that theory into practice, and it worked really well. And we grew pretty fast, and we had, I think at one point, the most guys that we had that finished a summer was like around 75.
Which is pretty high, right? Yeah.
I would say so. I mean, we did, back when pest control was like $500 for an account, or $500 per account, I think we did like $3.5 million in revenue, our biggest summer. And so I also did security and solar. So I was around the block when it came to door-to-door.
I think kind of a questionable one right here.
I don't even remember what.
Oh, wow. This is also, I think we should clarify, It's funny because I feel like I'm definitely not going to play this as good as normally. Yeah, because a little multitasking. Yeah.
But long story short, I just got into the training space, and I was actually pursuing a different business model at the time. It was called combat sales, where the whole goal was that we were going to recruit people into our company. We were going to train them using our software, and then we were going to place them after a door-to-door summer. So that was it was like a boot camp idea. And long story short, we spent a lot of time and money and effort building our platform, and then we realized that the real value wasn't necessarily the boot camp, it was the ability to train. So we pivoted from the boot camp and went all in on becoming a training development agency, where I took all the skills, my brother and I took all the skills that we learned about training and building courses and all that, and we put it into a company. So that's kind of how I got here.
Awesome. And then actually, let's visit that, because you're the first guy Obviously, you and I both know plenty of guys who have sold door-to-door and everything, but you're the first guy I've had in terms of on a conversation with Coomer with experience there. What would you say, because it still is, right, a hotly debated topic, what would you say to, first, let's start with someone who was considering entering door-to-door sales? I think it's yours still as well.
Is it my shop?
Yeah, you just made one.
I would say absolutely do it, 100%. What it comes down to, in my opinion, is making sure that you learn ethical sales. Because there's a lot of really great guys in door-to-door. There's a lot of guys that are pretty questionable in door-to-door. And so sometimes they give the industry the bad rap, but door-to-door is where I got the repetitions in. I think I checked, or I totaled, I knocked, in over those 6.5 years, I knocked over like 70,000 doors. And so that sheer amount of volume is something that you can only get in door-to-door, in my opinion. Like if I wanted to get good at sales, it's just like, how can I go and pitch and actually try to sell like 200 to 300 to 400 doors a day? Actually, no one ever did 400, but you get what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. And then within that too, I mean, we've already kind of mentioned benefits, but what would you say either you are most grateful for, or perhaps both, or the best thing that you got out of door-to-door personally was?
It's just the arena, in my opinion. Like door-to-door sales is the arena where every day it's not only a challenge of selling, but it's a mental challenge, it's a physical challenge. It's where I got to just go through the sheer amount of volume. So I would say that the biggest takeaway from that, besides my business, because like I love my business and I love the mission that I'm on, I would say the biggest takeaway is just the sheer amount. Like I'm super grateful, just the fact that I got to get my teeth kicked in that many times for that long, because it ultimately made me a lot stronger. And did I answer the question, or was it a
Yeah. That was a great answer. In terms of what you got away. Oh, nice, I'll take that. Thank you very much.
I just wanted me to do it.
Yeah. And then in terms of like today, because you've transitioned out of it really well, but right, you and I both know in a lot of ways, door-to-door can be a vehicle for freedom in terms of financial freedom, making money, or the ability to travel or whatever. Yeah. What do you think helped you most in more or less transitioning out of it, or dealing with that? Like you always have that option, right, which is perhaps both a benefit and almost a detraction in terms of, right, you can just go and work somewhere and sell. Yeah. But that's not always a good thing. Right. So what would you say really made that transition made that transition easier for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing, I think, you see some people who have been in door-to-door for, forever. And that's completely noble. It's a tough job, and doing it yearly is something that not many people can do. So I have a lot of respect for guys that do it long term. But my whole plan was to never be in it for forever. And just as you said, door-to-door itself is a vehicle. But the way that my brother and I approached it, especially when we were trying to grow the original business, was that we looked at door-to-door as the best possible dang, I'm getting run on. The best possible side hustle imaginable, because we would work, throughout the whole year we were recruiting and training, but we would really only be selling for the 4 or 5 months. And so the way we looked at it is that it was really the best side hustle to take our money. If you can get that, I will be a monkey someday.
I might scratch you. So best side hustle for your money.
Yeah, it's just the best side hustle. Oh, I was worried there.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. That's not that much of a shot. But yeah, it was the best side hustle. We'd make a ton of money in a short period of time. So yeah, we took all of our money and we actually put it into our training platform, our LMS. And that's it. We knew our vehicle. Granted, we put a lot of work and time into I wouldn't say the wrong vehicle, our first initial idea, but once we got out and we transitioned to the training development agency, the LMS is one of the backbones of our business.
And expand on LMS too, for those who don't know.
LMS is a learning management system. Should I talk to you or the camera? Or, learning management system. So if you're familiar with like Classic, if you're familiar with like School or Kajabi or something, those are LMSs. That one, are you sure?
I promise. And no scratch. But yeah, and we can just re-rack and keep going. Got it. Awesome. And so it seems then one of the big takeaways out of that for me, if I was a door-to-door guy or something, is you kept that intention in terms of you came in, okay, this is a great offering, but this is not the end.
Right.
And is it that end goal or that future potential of the transferable skills that made you, not go else, not return?
It was, part of it, truth be told, was just I was getting burnt out on living, because I moved, for 6.5 summers, I moved. I lived in Pittsburgh, Chicago, Philadelphia, Denver, Dallas, where else? Fort Lauderdale. So like all of these times I'm moving, it's pretty hard to actually have, unless you're, it's just hard to have a life when you have to uproot it so often. And so I would say that I knew I didn't want to be in door-to-door forever, but I definitely knew that I was going to be in it for as long as I can until I could get out. And I think that's, as door-to-door guys, you have to look at it like that, of saying your time is most likely going to come in door-to-door where you don't want to do it anymore. And if you don't invest into a vehicle to get out of door-to-door, then door-to-door is so beneficial in so many ways. It's like golden handcuffs.
Right.
Like,
yeah, it turns from freedom to a prison.
Exactly, because you're like, man, I gotta go out. Yeah. Hey, wife, like, you want to come visit me this summer with the kids? It's like, I didn't want that life.
Yeah. And then actually transitioning into life today, because honestly, unlike some of the other guests that we've had on, where it's either binary of they're online and traveling or not, you've had almost this blend of three in terms of traveling within the States, living and being, and everyone more or less probably had a pretty stable childhood in terms of like home location. Right. But in terms of like now moving into the online, more or less space, remote space. Yeah. What has that shift been like, and how has that differed and developed you? Watch this break.
Yeah. We can wait until these pass, you think?
Yeah. I did make a solid though. This is welcome to Medellin, Calle 10. If you haven't seen the room tour video, I mentioned that in the apartment tour and the way to live is. This is frankly, it's a cool spot. Obviously, you guys can see, but don't live this close to the street, and this is more or less one of the lesser spots I've lived in here, but grateful for it nonetheless. Anyways,
would you repeat the question?
In terms of you having lived almost this is the third evolution in terms of the way you've lived life. What's been different about switching into this remote setting and living here in Colombia, or just being able to travel nonetheless?
Right. Well, I didn't know if you knew this about me, but when I was 24, I actually built out a van, and I did VanLife.
Didn't know that, no.
Yeah, so I did VanLife. That was after my first summer in door-to-door.
Stripes.
And I bought a van, I converted it, and I would live in it in between on Stripes.
Yeah.
And I lived in it for like 2.5 years, something like that.
Okay, awesome.
And so that was really the first taste of, like, I would say, getting to actually choose what life I wanted to live, I would say generally. Is like saying, oh, I make money, but like, what do I actually want to do with my time, money, effort, right? And so I would say that was the first taste. And after that, I was like hooked on just not living a, I would say, standard life style. Like I knew I wanted to do something different. And my uncle had been living down here. He lived here for 3 years, and he's American, but yeah, he lived down here for 3 years and was just telling me about how it's a cheat code, essentially, of, hey, you know, you can do so much and you can expand your business and yada, yada. And so, yeah, the transition to being full-time on the computer versus in door-to-door where, you know, making my money online, not necessarily seeing person or people face-to-face, it was a little bit challenging at first because, like, especially when it came to marketing, because my whole concept idea of marketing was talk to someone, they say no or yes, talk to someone, like go to the next door.
Right.
And when I was like having to realize, oh wait, I have to market my business with, it was just such a learning curve. So I would say that no matter what, all of it has just brought me into like a never-ending student mindset. Yeah, never-ending student mindset. To where it's like learn or die.
Awesome. And actually, let's tap on that van life for a sec, because I know, I mean, me included, there's so many people who are always drawn to that and interested in that. What would you say to someone who wants to do it, who has that kind of fire, or wants to get started there too?
I think every young man should live in a van at some point. Just because I would say the biggest thing besides just the adventures
You're welcome.
is that, was that you or me?
I hit your ball.
Oh, okay. I would say the biggest thing is living in a van forces you to learn how to, like let me retract a little bit. I got into van life and I guess I had this preconception that I would, like adventure would just kind of like fall on my lap. That, I would find a beautiful hippie chick, like just hitchhiking, and I'd be like, oh, this is awesome, And something I learned throughout the process of living in a van was like, I learned how to find adventure and like how to make, like, because you can't just show up in a town and adventure just drop right in front of you. You have to be able to actually explore and go find it. And so I would say that's the biggest lesson that living in the van taught me is how to actually do that. And I guess that continues on the idea of like how to craft your life, right? But I mean, you've done a fantastic job at essentially crafting your life, and you're basically building, a business around it.
Thank you.
Have you ever thought of doing van life?
Yeah, I have for sure. It's I actually traveled in a van. I was in 7th grade. This is my 7th grade summer with my dad from California to Ohio.
Heck yeah.
And so I got a little bit of that experience. But I think, whether it's in some cases escapism or just that thrill for adventure, that wanting to almost like conquer a nation the way of like coast to coast or something like that is always appealing. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight that. That's really, really sweet though, because I did in fact not know that about you.
It was a great time though, man. A lot of cool adventures. I don't know why okay, there we go.
And also too, I'm not trying to call you old by this naturally, because there's been, we've had guys who are in their 30s and everything too, but
yeah,
in this stage where even, I find myself thinking about like, okay, we've talked about like going to friends' marriages, all these kind of things, and like you do have the family plans. How would you say this life has affected that for you, or even your personal journey?
Down here in Medellin, or?
In general, in terms of door-to-door, in terms of working online and everything, how has that eclipsed with your visions for the future? Or how has this life even changed your visions for the future also?
Right.
Did you make one?
No, I missed that one.
Cool.
So I would say that when I first entered my 20s, actually I'll even start at 18, for a pretty consistent part of my 20s, up until about 28, I was not in the headspace, I would say, to actually want like a relationship and a family. I had fallen in love earlier in my life and knew just off of that experience alone that I was willing to change a lot of my plans to actually pursue and be around her and stuff. And I realized basically how important, like how powerful love is. Like when you truly love someone, you'll make a lot of changes. And I realized pretty young that to have the life that I wanted, at least to the vision that I saw for myself, I needed to build a business. That was the vehicle that I chose. And obviously door-to-door was like the way that I funded that. But I knew I had to start a business. And so I was actually, from 18 to 28, I was very gung-ho about not entering into relationships and not getting into something serious, because I knew that it would alter the mission that I was on, which was, I was like, I don't want to get into a relationship until I have certain boxes checked. And I think it worked out really well for me, at least, because I see a lot of guys kind of lose their fire in a relationship. And being alone, it like forced me to learn a lot of lessons that I probably wouldn't have. Wow, you didn't really give me a shot here. And so it was weird though. As soon as I turned like 28, I was like, I want to actually have a family, and I started imagining that for myself. But I think that might be the case with a lot of young guys, especially if you're a young guy watching this, is, like a relationship is, everything has, cost and benefit, right? Like starting a business or, being in a relationship, doing anything, you have to weigh the cost and benefit of it. And my just strategy alone was like invest into the vehicle. And when the vehicle is moving to a degree that I like, to where I feel like it's going to move without me, then I can go back and get the relationship. And that's what I've been pursuing. And this past year, I've done some dating. Obviously, it's been in Spanish, so that's been pretty fun. Luckily, I speak enough Spanish to go on dates. If you move to Medellin, that's a great way to practice, is going on dates. Yeah. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, no, by all means, that was great. And then, honestly, wrapping up here, more or less, what would you say is unique about Davis Carbó that has allowed you to succeed and prosper through all of this?
100% having a relationship with Jesus Christ. 100%. And pursuing a relationship with God, and knowing and having the intention of building a business, or taking any action with him as like kind of the blinders on, to where it's like I would say a relationship with God. And this year I've been reading the Bible. I'm doing the Bible in a Year program, which is awesome, by the way. It's awesome. I'm finally in the New Testament, and it's really, I would say it's opened my heart to look at life a little bit differently. And I think that's kind of where even the idea of wanting to settle down and have a relationship and have a family, like, I think that comes from it. And I would say pursuing him and trusting in him and learning about him, even if it's a stumble, walking in the direction towards him is progress. So I would say that's kind of my biggest thing, is pursuing him.
Incredible.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
No,
that is awesome. You gonna hit your stripe first?
Oh, was I? That's a good way to end the video then.
That is. We can call it one-on-one.
Yeah.
But so thanks to you, man. We can shave, we can do that, whatever.
Do you do a
awesome.
shake? Here,
Yeah, I don't.
run it back again.
Whatever. Jake will cut it. But thanks. This has been fun. I'm not sure how I feel about this format yet, of kind of like interesting, like maybe taking concentration away. But really enjoyed this conversation.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And for those who are wanting to follow you and interact more with you, will you give them, where you are, Instagram, YouTube, et cetera, wherever you want to be found?
Yeah,
because I know
absolutely.
you're building stuff too.
My Instagram is at Davis Carbó. My business Instagram is at Davis_Carbó. And I have a YouTube channel, same name, Davis Carbó. And you could check out our business at educate8.com.
Awesome. Yeah, so thanks for coming on. Especially if you are interested in, or even like in sales in general, I think you would be an incredible resource. Or like, I know what we've talked about in terms of your business, you have a business that needs SOPs or something along those lines. Like the conversations that we have, and this guy understands business analytics as well as putting in systems in place and programs. So for y'all, definitely recommend reaching out. And frankly, I mean, you guys have heard a lot of it here, but a really, really interesting story. So definitely go and follow Davis there. It's been a pleasure talking, and hope you all enjoy this episode. See you on the next one. Be blessed.
See you guys.